Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone. And I get a call from the liberal governor, "Sir, please don't come in. We don't need you." I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II.
President Trump once again comparing the city of Portland to a war zone as he warned of an alleged invasion from within during his speech before U.S. military leaders at Quantico today. He's using that justification to send U.S. troops into American communities. The commander-in-chief saying this morning he wants to use, quote, dangerous American cities as training grounds for the armed forces.
Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announcing 10 new directives, including new physical fitness standards. He also said that he will re-examine the department's policies surrounding hazing and bullying, and much, much more than that. Joining us live tonight to discuss is NBC military analyst and retired four-star Army General Barry McCaffrey. General, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you.
First, just your reaction to all that you heard today at Quantico.
Well, it's one of the strangest, most incoherent national security events I've ever encountered. It's okay for the commander-in-chief and the Secretary of Defense to order his commanders and their senior enlisted advisors to show up anywhere. It's okay for him to announce new policies. But at the end of the day, what we were seeing today, the president sounded completely incoherent. It was a bitter, partisan, sort of savage tone address. It must have horrified our allies around the world. I think it'll be unsettling to the force. And then Secretary of Defense getting up there and pulling a sort of a Rambo lecture with his, civil affairs officer status in an infantry battalion in Iraq, giving a Rambo lecture at a bunch of senior enlisted guys and officers who grew up in combat for 20 years. A lot of them are wearing Purple Hearts and decorated for valor, and their sons and daughters also fought, and many were killed or injured. So it was a strange event, and some of it was deeply unsettling. Who says we're going to train U.S. military formations in American cities? So we've got a lot to sort out here.
Yeah, there's just so much to cover, and we don't have time to cover it all. I do want to know what you made of Hegseth's orders to weaken protections against bullying and hazing under this guise of empowering leaders and getting rid of, quote, woke policy.
Well, by the way, some of this presentation will have a favorable reaction from many of the people in the armed forces. I think there was, coming out of the war on terror, a lot of concern that in many cases ROE were restrictive and placed U.S. troops at risk. I think there's been a pushback on excessive numbers of anonymous complaints about commanders that result in multiple years of investigation. So some of this probably resonates. Now, having said all that, we got the laws of war. We're supposed to be a disciplined, law-based military. So the entire sequence of events made no sense.
I do want to know how you think his new directives, particularly on physical fitness for men in combat, how is all of that going to impact women in the military? Will they be able to rise in rank? What about recruitment? What about a sense of safety when you think historically that sex crimes against women have been prevalent?
Well, first of all, I don't think there's any question that the Secretary of Defense remarks impugned women, minorities in uniform, saying if they got promoted, it obviously was some DEI thing rather than a promotion based on merit. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The women who are serving in infantry battalions, the women who successfully have gotten through Ranger School, 30 or 40, are fully qualified to neutral gender standards. I also think, there's a notion that Hegseth was essentially telling the force, you people are not warriors. I am. We're going to change things. The Armed Forces of the United States are the most lethal, disciplined, aggressive military on the face of the earth. Incredible technology, training, and leadership. So that was badly received by all in the room. They won't say anything about it. It is not the place of the senior military leadership to push back on the President of the United States.
Right.
That's Congress, voters, the judicial system, and the media.
I think locally, and maybe most importantly in this speech, Trump's suggestion that we'll use U.S. cities as training grounds for the military, naming even Portland. Some may wonder, is this leading toward martial law down the road? I mean, what did you make of those statements, and where are we going with this policy?
Well, we don't know. The language is completely inappropriate. You know, the basis of the Constitution, the way we view the military, is they're there to deter foreign wars. They are prohibited under Posse Comitatus Act from collecting evidence, from arresting civilians. So it's just inappropriate to think that and by the way, the National Guard are our friends and neighbors. There's 430,000 of them. They're vital to the country's safety. When there's a storm, when they need to deliver the mail, you name it, the National Guard is there. So this is just headed in the wrong direction. National Guard troops cannot sort out community policing. They're not trained for it, and it's the wrong thing to do.
General Barry McCaffrey, we're out of time, but we so appreciate your insight and your time on what was an unprecedented day, to say the least. Thank you so much.
Good to be with you.